Hello,
It's Natasha.
and today's video, which is part of my self-love journey series, is all about, drumroll, stirring up some excitement, how I needed to stop trying to please everyone. So this is something that I really struggled with in my late teens and early 20s was trying to please everybody, make everybody happy. And to me, the way that I see pleasing everyone, what does that mean? To me, it means that your actions and behaviors are tailored to making other people happy. And for me, it came down to needing to feel valued. I had really low self esteem. I was depressed in my late teens. So I always went out of my way to try to please everybody. I was I was a doormat, essentially. And if somebody was upset with me, or if even somebody was in a bad mood, I would always assume that it was because of me. Like, oh, I must have done something. What can I do to make this better? And I would wear myself out trying to make sure that nobody was unhappy with me when really it wasn't my responsibility. And I would get very upset and anxious if somebody was cold or distant or seemed like they were upset with me. And it was so freaking exhausting. And honestly, this was a behavior that, even though as I became more aware of it, I still, I'm gonna be honest, I still struggle with it to this day. And it sucks because I don't know if you've ever been there as well. Let me know in the comments, but I've even apologized for things that didn't warrant an apology. Like it wasn't even my fault. And yet I would apologize just so that the other party could be happy and feel better. And yeah, I would keep the peace, but then I would feel shitty about it after because I felt, again, like a doormat. The worst part about trying to please everybody is that I couldn't really be my true self. And what I mean by that is that I would tailor my behaviors and my actions and my decisions in order to keep people happy, even though those decisions may not have been aligned with my actual wants and needs. So, for example, at work, if somebody was being super pushy about something and wanting me to work on this project when I had my plate full and that project wasn't really important, I would still take it on. And I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll figure a way out to work this in. And then guess who suffers in the end? Me. It's happened in my friendships where I would bottle myself up and be somebody different to certain friends in order to be liked by them, if that makes sense. So I would act differently with one friend than I would with another if I realized that that person was very different from me. Like I've always been kind of a goofball and a little weird. And I have had friends in the past be like, girl, what the heck? Like, that was weird. And kind of make me feel uncomfortable for just being who I was. So I would bottle that part of myself up and restrain myself just so that I could be liked by those friends, even though I shouldn't have to do that. You can just go and find people who resonate with you and who like you for who you are. So essentially, I had to bottle myself up in order for me to feel loved or wanted, because in the end, that's what I was struggling with. I was struggling with my value as a person. So I'm like, well, maybe if I can make all of these people happy, then I can feel loved and wanted, when that's no one else's responsibility. That's something that I had to work on with myself. Because in the end, when you're placing like your happiness and your value on keeping everybody else pleased and happy, then when people aren't pleased and happy, what happens? You spiral and you break down and you burn out. And so, what really helped me was just listening to a lot of self help, self development books, and just focusing on my worth as a person and becoming more comfortable with myself. And the more comfortable I became in my own skin and being myself, the less people pleasing I started to do. I'm like, I would rather be myself and not be everybody's cup of tea than having to be a completely different person in order to get people to like me. I mean, this isn't a pass for you to be
A dick.
okay. Like if you're mean to people and you're rude and you say hurtful things, you can't just be like,
oh, well, I mean, this is just who I am. You gotta deal with it.
obviously you have to self-reflect and think, it's like, is this a me problem? And do I have a role to play in this? Or is it maybe it's a them problem? Why is me being honest or me being sensitive or me being a goofball a problem if I'm not hurting anybody's feelings? If you making a good decision for yourself creates a problem for somebody else because they don't agree with it, because that's not what they expect of you, that's a them problem. That's not a you problem. So I've been going to therapy. I mentioned that in one of my videos for the first time ever, and it's been very eye-opening. And something my therapist told me, which really resonated with me, and that I've been thinking of whenever I'm about to act on something, is you are not responsible for anyone else's happiness or fulfillment. Like, you can't, that's not your responsibility. That's their responsibility. You can be the nicest person ever, and you can be of service to everybody around you, and yet there will still be somebody that doesn't like you, or somebody will still be unhappy. And that's not a you problem. That's a them problem. The only person whose happiness and fulfillment you're responsible for is yourself. So, tying that back, if you're constantly trying to please other people, even though that's not aligned with what you actually want, are you fulfilling yourself? Are you making yourself happy? No. You're trying to make everybody else happy, and then you're left with nothing. And like I said, this is still something I struggle with. And one example is, especially 2020 quarantine times, people really being disconnected from each other since we're all at home and we're not seeing each other as much as we typically would. I have had friends that kind of would become distant or hadn't been texting me or talking to me as often. And then my old pattern of wanting to please people starts kicking in. And I'm like, well, why haven't they been talking to me as much? Why do they seem a little distant? Like, I feel like something's off about them. And I hate to admit it, but when that happens, the first question I ask myself is, what did I do? Like, it must be me. When there are a million other things that could be happening. Maybe somebody's distant because they're going through something. Maybe they're stressed and they're overloaded at work. And that's okay. People go through things. We can't always assume that it's our responsibility and that we need to reach out to like make people happy and keep the peace. We need to give people their space to overcome things and to grow. And so I always have to step back and ask myself, if I'm going to do this, is it because I want to keep this person happy and pleased, or am I doing it for myself? And I think a lot of us go through life making decisions while trying to keep others happy. So whether it's deciding to go to college when maybe you don't want to because you want your parents to be happy with you. Do you dress a certain way because you want to fit in with your friends and so that they like you, even though your style is completely different? Do you behave a certain way when you're dating somebody because you think that that's what's expected of you or that's what will make them like you, as opposed to how you really are? There's so many times in my life where I've decided to do something which was the opposite of what I really wanted, just because I wanted to keep the peace and because I wanted to make other people happy, while the collateral damage was me feeling unfulfilled. So that's something that's really important to ask yourself is, am I doing this because I really want to? Or am I doing this because I think this is what's expected of me? Or that it'll make this person happy or proud of me or value me more or love me more? I feel like once we can release that need to feel accepted by others and really just care about accepting ourselves, it just makes our decisions in our life so much easier. Let me know if this is something you're struggling with too. But something that really helps is just becoming more self-aware of when you're starting to go back to those tendencies of, oh, I want to make sure that this person still likes me or to keep this person happy. So I hope this video resonated with you and motivated you in your self-love journey, because again, you're not alone. None of us are alone in this. We all go through our own struggles. So if anything, I hope this video made you feel a little less alone in your journey.
Thank you so much for watching.
And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you did enjoy this video to subscribe and watch my other self-love videos as well. I post about self-love every other week, and on the weeks that I'm not posting about self-love, I post about
Fashion.
So have a good one, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Love you!